We're working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Mariel Soriano, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines, the Makati City Regional Trial Court RTC Branch 150 on Monday deferred the issuance of an alias warrant of arrest and a whole departure order against Senator Antonio Trillanes. The World Economic Forum on ASEAN, WEF ASEAN, themed ASEAN 4.0, Entrepreneurship and the Fourth Industrial Revolution opened today in Hanoi. Vietnam has denied entry to two prominent rights campaigners invited to attend this week's World Economic Forum in Hanoi, as the one-party communist state continues its hardline on critics of its dismal rights record. The Makati City Regional Trial Court, or RTC Branch 150, on Monday deferred the issuance of an alias warrant of arrest and a whole departure order, or HDO, against Senator Antonio Trillanes IV, and set the motion filed by the Department of Justice, or DOJ, for hearing on September 14. In a three-page order, Makati RTC Branch 150 Judge Elmo Alameda said he will not issue a warrant of arrest and a whole departure order against Trillanes for the meantime, since he needs to review the case. Alameda noted that acting on the motion of the prosecution without hearing Trillanes' side would be in violation of his constitutionally guaranteed right to due process. The Makati RTC is handling the rebellion case against Trillanes and several other Magdalo soldiers in connection with their involvement in the Manila Peninsula siege in 2007. It also noted the pending petition filed by Trillanes before the Supreme Court, questioning the validity of the revocation of Proclamation Number 75 issued by former President Aquino, granting amnesty to the senator and his co-accused. But Senator Trillanes refuses to go out of the Senate.
Based on our engagements with the armed forces, that they still have a standing order to arrest me. Ang problema kasi doon sa statement niya, meron siyang deniability eh. Kaya nga binalidate natin doon sa ground, sa operating units. At meron pa rin eh. Ngayon, ang sa akin dito is probably is just trying to trick me into that trap. But I won't fall for that. And remember, ito si Duterte is notorious for lying to the public.
On Friday, the DOJ filed an urgent ex parte motion last week asking the trial court to issue an HDO and an alias warrant of arrest following the issuance by President Duterte of Proclamation Number 572, declaring as void ab initio, or from the start, the amnesty issued to Trillanes for his failure with the basic requirement of filing an application for an amnesty together with an admission of guilt. It argued that the rebellion case is still pending with the court, as the prosecution has yet to present its evidence insofar as Trillanes is concerned. Trillanes' amnesty was granted to him in 2011 by then-President Aquino.
Hindi man pwedeng si President Aquino yung magpoproseso niyan. Imagine ito yung absurdity ng, kunyari, 10,000 o 100,000 yung nag-avail ng amnesty, o 1 million. Na-imagine nyo ba yung presidenteng pipirma ng dokumento? Di ba? In fact, may mga presidential or mga executive orders nga na executive secretary lang pumipirma for as long as delegated siya.
Meanwhile, Senator Antonio Trillanes said Sunday that President Rodrigo Duterte was being paranoid when he spoke of a plot by the Liberal Party and communist rebels to oust him over the weekend.
Sabihin ko, address ko sa mga senior PMAers na nasa security o mga security officials ng ating bansa, si Chief of Staff, si SND, kung sino man. All right, sir. Wala akong nire-recruit, walang ouster plan. All right. Now, I don't expect them to take my word for it. They can validate it all they want, but babalik at babalik sila doon na ganun talaga ang totoo. Sa totoo lang, talagang nakakaperwisyo din itong situation na to sa akin. So, humingi nga ako ng dispensa kay Senate President Soto for the inconvenience and obstruction ng some Senate operations and personnel.
President Duterte said the invalidation of the amnesty granted to Senator Antonio Trillanes was recommended by Solicitor General Jose Calida, who launched a process to review and dig into the amnesty records of some officials. Let's listen to this.
Pag sinabi ng soldier may mali and this has to be corrected, I cannot refuse. He is the government lawyer. I am not. Though I am a mayor or a mayor and president, I cannot insist, lalo na in view of the fact that it was already recorded as a public paper.
The president argued that the amnesty paper of Trillanes was flawed from the start.
Yung sa application niya, TRO sa Supreme Court, nagbigay siya ng sample ng affidavit. Yan. Failure to comply, it must be in affidavit form and you narrate anong kasalanan mo. Ang problema, yung nag-imbestiga at nag-recommend ng amnesty, siya rin ang nag-approve ng amnesty.
The president also slammed Senator Trillanes when questioned what his critic has done with the military since amnesty was granted to him and when he became a senator.
It was all Trillanes pretending to be a crusading soldier when as a matter of fact, wala naman silang ginawa. He not only abandoned division of the military, he became a corrupt guy, collecting dyan sa mga negosyante. Para siyang abogado. Alam namin yan, kasi ang negosyante, baski na paano mo taguin, nagsasabi talaga yan. Ang problema sa itong kay Trillanes is, he is also playing with the Communist Party of the Philippines. Pero alam ko na noon pa, gusto nila rin pumasok sa PMA na may mga kadete na hinihila nila para yung mga left. And always it is poverty. Bakit siya malaking bayan niya? Bakit iyon ipahat lang? Style na bugok.
Since the case is now in court, the president said he leaves everything to the court, especially on the senator's possible arrest.
Sabi niya na continuing arrest, well, let the court decide on it. Whether he should go back to jail because that is where he came from.
Cambodia's opposition leader, Kem Sokha, was released from jail early Monday, a year after he was detained on treason charges, as the country's strongman ruler loosens his grip on opponents after sweeping one-sided elections. Kem Sokha, the head of the only serious opposition, the Cambodian National Rescue Party, was arrested on September 3, 2017 and accused of treason. The case against the 65-year-old was widely seen as politically motivated, just 2 months Later, the CNRP was dissolved by a court, which paved the way for the ruling Cambodia People's Party to win all 125 parliamentary seats in the election, turning the country into a one-party state and extending Hun Sen's stay in the office. According to a court in Cambodia's capital, he was bailed from pre-trial detention on condition that he does not flee proceedings against him. The opposition figure still faces up to 30 years if convicted of treason. According to his daughter, Manovitya Kem, his bail conditions state he must be confined to a block radius of his residence.
តឡាការគឺអនុញ្ញាតឲ្យអារម្មណ៍กับស្ថាប័ននៅក្រៅគុំជាបណ្ដោះអាសន្នក៏ប៉ុន្តែស្ថិតនៅក្រោមការត្រួតពិនិត្យបាទស្ថិតនៅក្រោមការត្រួតពិនិត្យណាហើយចំពោះបញ្ហាសុខភាពអំបញ្ញមិញគឺថាពួកប្តីខ្ញុំលោកមានសុខភាពធម្មតាទេបាទខាងផ្លូវចិត្តនិងផ្លូវកាយបាទគាត់អាចបាទអ្វីដែលគាត់ផ្ដាំតាមរយៈខ្ញុំបាញ់មិញនេះគឺគាត់បានអត់មានអីក្រៅពីការអរគុណទេអរគុណទៅដល់បងប្អូនប្រជាពលរដ្ឋខ្មែរអរគុណទៅដល់អ្នកគ្រប់គ្រងអរគុណដល់អ្នកសារព័ត៌មានជាតិនិងអន្តរជាតិបាទហើយគាត់គឺមានពាក្យប៉ុណ្ណឹងគឺថាអ្វីដែលគាត់មានប្រសាសន៍ខ្លីបាទហើយ
The United Nations Rights Chief called Monday for the creation of a new mechanism tasked with preparing criminal indictments over atrocities committed in Myanmar amid allegations of genocide against the Rohingya minority. In her first speech as head of the UN Rights Office, Michelle Bachelet called on the UN Human Rights Council to create an independent international mechanism for Myanmar.
I must emphasize the imperative of justice for Myanmar. I welcome the pre-trial chamber of the International Criminal Court's finding that the court has jurisdiction over the alleged deportation of Rohingya from Myanmar and possibly other crimes. This is an immensely important step towards ending impunity and addressing the enormous suffering of the Rohingya people.
A UN fact-finding mission last month issued a damning report concluding there was enough evidence to prosecute Myanmar's army chief and 5 other top military commanders for crimes against humanity and genocide against the Rohingya. Some 700,000 Rohingya Muslims fled northern Rakhine State to Bangladesh after Myanmar launched a brutal crackdown on insurgents in August last year amid accounts of arson, murder and rape by soldiers and vigilant mobs in the mainly Buddhist country. Myanmar has vehemently denied allegations of ethnic cleansing, insisting it was responding to attacks by Rohingya rebels. U.S. President Donald Trump has received a very positive letter from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un seeking a follow-up meeting after their historic summit in Singapore, the White House said Monday.
It was a very warm, very positive letter. We won't release the full letter unless the North Korean leader agrees that we should. The primary purpose of the letter was to request and look to schedule another meeting with the President, which we are open to and are already in the process of coordinating that.
White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders added that the letter was further evidence of progress in Washington's relationship with Pyongyang. Sanders also cited the parade in her comments.
The most recent parade this weekend, one of the first times I believe that they have had parades similar where they weren't highlighting their nuclear arsenal. We consider that a sign of good faith. And again, the letter from Kim Jong-un to the President certainly showed a commitment to continuing conversations.
Trump and Kim held a historic summit in Singapore in June that raised prospects of a breakthrough on curtailing North Korea's nuclear program. The letter's arrival was confirmed as Trump's top security advisor said the White House was looking to North Korea for next steps. National Security Advisor John Bolton said in a speech to the Federalist Society that during the Singapore meeting with Trump in June, Kim committed to getting rid of his nuclear weapons and later agreed with South Korean President Moon Jae-in that it could be done in 1 year. After his speech, Bolton told reporters it's entirely possible for the two leaders to meet by year's end.
We successfully kicked off the path.
Sobrang daming sasakyan.
Tsaka kulang sa public transport.
Tsaka ang tagal umandar ng mga bus, hindi umaandar, hindi napupuno.
Ang tagal pa ng construction.
Mga tindero na sobrang dami, hindi makadaan yung mga kotse sa EDSA.
Ang daming bus, ang daming jeep.
Tapos walang bagong daan, lahat nasa EDSA na.
Tapos kung saan-saan pa bumababa yung mga tao.
Tsaka hindi ba nila alam na driving is not a right, it's a privilege.
Teka, time out!
A Singapore court has ordered the return of millions of dollars misappropriated from Malaysian State Fund 1MDB in a cross-border financial scandal that helped topple former leader Nahib Razak. Tan Raha and Chea, a Singapore-based law firm acting for the 1MDB and the Malaysian government, said the Singapore state courts have granted disposal orders in respect to the money totaling to 15.3 million Singaporean dollars. Malaysia's new government, under Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad, 93, has launched investigations into allegations that Nahib and his cronies looted billions of dollars from the fund while he was in office. The scandal contributed to the shock election defeat in May of Nahib, who set up and oversaw the fund. Since his election defeat, the former leader has been arrested and charged over the scandal, but it is out on bail, and as he denies any wrongdoing.
So-called happening was no longer part of 1MDB.
Vietnam has denied entry of two prominent rights campaigners invited to attend this week's World Economic Forum in Hanoi, as the one-party communist state continues its hard line on critics of its dismal rights record. Vietnam Diplomacy Summit, or WEF, according to the campaign groups, leaders from Amnesty International and the International Federation for Human Rights, or FIDH, were both barred from entering Vietnam for the meeting. FIDH Secretary General Debbie Stothard was held at Hanoi's airport for 15 hours after arriving on Sunday before being deported to Malaysia early the next morning. As per Andrea Giorgetta, FIDH Director of Asia Desk, Stothard's arbitrary detention was based on the absurd accusation that she poses a threat to Vietnam's national security. The country has jailed several human rights activists in recent years, accusing them of attempting to overthrow the state. The World Economic Forum, ASEAN, or Association of Southeast Asian Nations, opens in Hanoi on Tuesday under the official banner of entrepreneurship and the fourth industrial revolution. The World Health Organization, or WHO, has called upon countries in the Southeast Asia region to strengthen their emergency medical teams in order to be better prepared to respond to public health emergencies. The Southeast Asia region is vulnerable to various disasters and emergencies such as earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, landslides, and volcanic eruptions, according to the 2016 World Disaster Report. Over the past decade, the region disproportionately accounted for 26.8% of deaths in emergencies. Prone to natural disaster, the region has been focusing on scaling up emergency risk as management as a flagship priority. EMTs can be national, international, government, non-governmental, civilian, or military. They have varied capacities, and their deployment is often not based on assessed needs. Dr. Poonam Ketrapal Singh, Regional Director of WHO, or World Health Organization Southeast Asia region, said strengthening national and regional level emergency medical teams is a high-impact investment in reducing deaths, diseases, and disabilities due to disasters, outbreaks, and other emergencies. Emergency medical teams contributed to life-saving critical interventions. She added that to be more effective, EMTs need to be standardized, strengthened, and well-coordinated. The World Economic Forum on ASEAN, or WEF ASEAN, themed ASEAN 4.0 Entrepreneurship and the Fourth Industrial Revolution, opens today in Hanoi. The event, which lasts 3 days, attracts more than 1,000 people, including 6 presidents or prime ministers. It is a platform for government leaders and Asian entrepreneurs to discuss and share their vision for the future, especially as we stand on the cusp of the Industry 4.0. As the host and co-chair of the WEF ASEAN, Vietnam has included many issues it believes are key to ASEAN, such as innovative startups, infrastructure and smart cities, employment in Industry 4.0, human resources development, and high-tech agriculture.
All of us believe that the fate of ASEAN is in your hands. It will be in the hands of our young people across the 10 countries in ASEAN. And I like to think of it as the 4 I's. 2 years ago, I spoke in Malaysia, and I spoke very, very poignantly about the issue of having an ASEAN identity. And I call this the soft side. I think we talk a lot about digital, and we talk a lot about, technology. But at the heart of ASEAN is the ASEAN way, but at the same time identifying with ASEAN. So I would like to see cross-cultural movement. I like to see a lot more exchange between students across the 10 countries. And that's how we build identity. The next I, and I think Minister spoke about it very powerfully, is innovation. We need to unlock the enormous entrepreneurial skills within ASEAN. The young ASEAN countries, all of you represented in this room, I've seen some of the great technological advancements coming out, not from the more mature countries in ASEAN, but from the younger ones. And through technology, you could leapfrog. You could actually not be inundated with legacy. The third I, to me, is very important. It's about inclusiveness. I think the more we have technology, the greater the digital divide. And so while I wrote about having the sixth sense of digital skills, there are still many people within ASEAN, within individual countries, that do not have access to healthcare, to payments, to financial accounts, and even to education.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Mariel Soriano, and I'm 1 with 25.